So first off, I'd like to introduce Officer Joe Leitza. Joe is a TIM trainer in District 5. He collaborated with local fire departments, towing professionals, emergency communication dispatchers, and emergency management to host a large-scale mass casualty exercise in May. He's going to share an overview of how he planned, executed this exercise, and some lessons learned. Thanks for joining us today.
Morning, Joe. Like Bobby said, you spent a lot of time and effort into working with others to put this exercise on. Can you share with the group kind of your vision and how this developed into what you ended up executing?
Sure. So I started out that I just wanted to do a training for everybody in the county. At first, I was looking mainly for TIMs, set up a simple act or what's known of a simple accident, and then just work the TIMs, do the tapers, to and advanced warning and everything like that. But as soon as we got into the planning and everything, it kind of blew up. But my main goal was to have something big enough that we could work the TIMs, and then all the agencies could work on their own trainings. So if the fire departments wanted certain executions that they could do them. If the medical team wanted something to look at, different injuries, they could do them. So that's kind of how all this started. I just wanted to have a nice countywide incident for all of us to go out and work and basically play and have fun together.
You kind of mentioned there things kind of got bigger than maybe we envisioned or we're trying to accomplish a lot. How do you, looking back on this, how would you control what the objectives were of the training, or to make sure everybody who's got something they want to do in this actually is able to do it?
I would say when the first time you sit down, everybody goes over what they want to do. You set their goals and you make sure that goal is met throughout planning the meeting or planning the training. Um, because it went from training to full scale. We had everybody responding from stations. We had ambulance taking people to the hospital. And at times there, it seemed like, Bushnell actually came from Bushnell. They didn't really get to train because by the time they got there, Kimball had everything finished. So sit down, figure out what you want to do, figure out what everybody wants to do, and make sure that those goals are met at the training.
There were a lot of successes with this training though as well. What are some of those that you guys walked away with in terms of the teamwork and the collaboration? You said everybody wanted to get together. Kind of what were those successes that you guys saw post event?
I think everybody coming together and working together. It's definitely very strange to have the PD, the SO, the different fire departments that we have all out on the same scene. But even though there were issues, everybody worked well together. The PD handled what they needed to handle. SO helped out where they needed. The fire department, it was a big enough scene for the 3 fire departments to work, but they actually divided their fire department into 3 different teams to cover each incident that was on the scene.
And this kind of started with your TIM perspective. Were there anything that you walked away with going, this is where we need to work on, TIM? This is what we're doing really well? Or what were some of the TIM lessons learned?
So for the TIM, there is a few things that we definitely need to work on. Setting up tapers, advanced warning. The way we had the scene set up, it was kind of confusing. We needed to have everybody kind of come out and look how it was laid out. So the way that everybody approached it was kind of confusing. But we need to learn how, we need to work on setting up tapers and advanced warning and things like that. But all means, as scene safety, we did fairly well. We didn't have any live traffic driving through, but there was a couple cars that I sent through, but everybody kind of looked at them and watched them drive by. So there's a few things that we need to work on, but in the meantimes of, I think, doing smaller trainings to kind of focus on more of the Tims, and then we can implement it into the bigger trainings would be ideal.
And you've done some of those already since this exercise, just trying to work kind of smaller within your agency and with some closer partners, right?
Yeah. So we originally just did advanced warning and tapers. We kind of did it in the means of all the state troopers getting hit, um, getting struck. Even by doing everything correctly, things can still happen. But we just went out on one of the busiest streets in our town, and we set up our signs, and then everybody came around and set up tapers, and we practice on. Everybody got to set up a taper. Everybody got to set up vehicle positionings. We just had our patrol vehicles, so it was staggered vehicle positioning, and just got to see what the looks were between a car and a Durango and two pickups, and it was good. Everybody got to set up their tapers, and everybody enjoyed it.
And can you kind of compare and contrast these small scale exercises that you've been doing more impromptu versus the larger scale that you executed here in terms of ease of deployment or planning and benefits, maybe walking away from them?
So with the small scale, um, it doesn't take much to plan. Uh, it was just something that I kind of thought about, and we just made it happen. Uh, and with that being said, there was only 6 of us out there, so everybody got to do it. Everybody got to do it multiple times, and we were only out there for 2.5 hours. Um, and it and it was, I believe it was effective. Um, Everybody enjoyed it. Uh, with the bigger scale, it takes a while to plan it, and they are fun. But the issues are when you come into that. Sometimes agencies don't get along. Sometimes agencies are forgotten about. Um, we've had we got out there on scene. There was, Dick's Fire was never called. NDOT actually was never called to come out and do the Tims for us. So things were heated on that side. People weren't called, so people were forgot about. So that's another thing. When you do the big scale, make sure you know who's going to be there, who has people ready to be there, so everybody can participate. So with smaller ones, it's easier. Um, but the big ones are fun. It's awesome to get everybody together, and it's awesome to see everybody work together.
And we were supposed to have Ron Leal, who you kind of partnered with in some of this towards trying to bring it to the conclusion. And that was one of the things he mentioned, is that from the pre-planning standpoint, making sure you have those objectives listed down. Because you mentioned people did get forgot. And though not intentional, we want to make sure if everybody's participating, we have those interjects put in place for them. Looking back on that, how would you guys have tried to ensure these other disciplines got involved or not forgotten?
Well, I would definitely say have a list of everybody that's supposed to be there. That all the chiefs has that list, has the list, and whoever is incident command, or at that point there should be unified command, so everybody knows who's going to be there. Same thing for dispatch. Dispatch needs to have the list of who's going to be there. I think also the other thing would be is having everybody stage close to the scene. it seemed to get lost when Bushnell came from Bushnell. I believe Dix was in town, but it was very, they paged out Bushnell, and Bushnell actually took the 15 minutes that it took him to come to the scene. So even though they showed up on scene, they didn't get to do anything, you know. So it was very make sure everybody's close enough. If they're gonna respond, maybe have a staging area right close by. They can come over, everybody can go to work together. So uh probably a staging area and a list of everybody that's supposed to be there.
Well, and I think what I'm hearing you say too is you guys replicated real life. There were those time delays. People are forgotten to be called during real incidents. We don't use all of our resources all the time. And what I really like that you hit on is that unified command piece of someone's got to step up and be in command and know who these resources are. Coming out of this from a unified command perspective, how does this translate into real world incidents? Have you guys seen anything since then, or anything you would share of unified command serving these multiple disciplines?
We haven't had anything since this. One of the previous ones we had was on the interstate. There was a fatality. I know, NSP took over main investigation, but sheriff's office was up there. Um, uh, the PD and we were down at the exit, and we were uh, getting everybody off the interstate and redirecting them. So in this area, we definitely have a lot of them that we are unified because there's moving parts everywhere. You know, a lot of the times the PD though, we just kind of put our heads down and we just kind of move traffic for everybody, and just that's what we do. But unified, and especially around here, we're just gonna be unified. Um, should be unified. But this incident was very special because we didn't have a command system, which was not good. But and they also had when they go out on to actual scenes like this, it works. Um, not saying that just because it works, we should just run it that way, but that's what everybody had talked about. Well, we cover this and this works and that works. Yes, it does work. It's because you know that that's what you're supposed to be doing, and it is real life that you're gonna do it correctly. But when you're out here on the training, things do slip away. So by being unified, it's the best. And it's also the worst around here because the fire department and then the sheriff's office and everybody likes to butt heads. But when it works together, it is the greatest.
So that's where I think kind of closing this out of one of the good things you started off with. This exercise brought everybody together. You got to see what everybody's capabilities are. It's not perfect like we maybe wanted to go, but we are working towards that constant improvement. And so overall, I'd say this was a success, and there's always things we can learn to try to do better. In terms of the after the fact, have you guys come together to do any type of debrief or after action on the exercise? So for the next one, you are better, or is that still kind of in the planning phase?
Yeah, we started in after action. Uh, we went over everything that we thought. Um, everybody seemed to enjoy the scenario. Um, a lot of the issues came about of actually responding to the scene, the time that it took, and then of the other agencies that were not involved. Uh, that may not have been at the meetings that was also supposed to be at the training that were mad about it. So So we did do an after action. We also sat down. I believe Ron is thinking about having another smaller exercise here in September. Um, and I think it's going to be more getting the fire departments put together, getting them to work together, getting everybody to work together on a smaller incident. I think more education towards cars. So we're planning on the next one, and I think we're going to try to do at least two a year. I think is what Ron's kind of thinking. Um, but just to kind of keep everybody training together and keeping everybody wanting to work together. So
Well, we applaud your initiative out there and getting this kind of started along with other D5 partners or the District 5 partners out there. Caitlin's going to drop a question into Slido if it hasn't already been dropped. Do you conduct mock crashes for your area high schools?
Actually, are you interested in participating in a TIM exercise?
Are you interested in collaborating? Incorporating Tim best. Okay. The question's in the slide. I'm not going to follow my notes because I have the wrong thing up. So, as Joe mentioned, there's a lot of planning that goes into these, whether it's large or small. We do have a training exercise worksheet that's available on the Tim share file. The link's also going to be dropped into the chat box. Use the resources you have, work with your emergency managers or other partners who have experience with doing these trainings. Like Joe said, there's a long list of things that go into it on these larger scale exercises. But start with your objectives. What do you want to walk away with, and then work from there. So kind of stay on task. Any closing thoughts, Joe?
no, not really. Just want to plan it. Even though it might be a pain in the butt at the beginning, it's definitely fun to see everybody come together and do it. So.
Well, good job on those exercises, and thanks for joining us today.